Day, what it do, what the business is.
It is a brand new episode of the On Deck TV show. Got kind of stumbled there for a second.
Just a little bit, man. Holla at your boy Animal Brown, Animal_Brown. If you're looking for me on social media.
I am Spike Lou on those same social sites. Holla at your boy back in the big studio, the big seat, the big chair, the big show.
Absolutely, man. YouTube.com/OndeckTV, man. You got to watch this one, guys. It's going to be a good one.
Absolutely. Had a real special guest, man. Really enjoying. I hope to enjoy that, man. This should be a dope interview. Before we get into the very special guest, though, Big Sean says your man's owes him $6 million.
Yikes.
All right. Also, Scarface is putting an end to his career with his last rap performance, and also the biggest events of the weekend, the tragedy that happened at the Astroworld Fest with Travis Scott. Condolences out to the families of the victims or the people that lost their lives tragically at the Astroworld Fest. 8 people over the weekend. Travis Scott was holding his festival in Houston, and unfortunately, trampled. Just different various reasons and reports are coming out. Concert goers lost their life there. Travis Scott has been receiving a lot of backlash from things from continuing the show to not having the correct protocols in place. Do you think it's fair or foul that Travis Scott has received backlash for what's happened at Astroworld?
It's fair. It's got to be. His name is all on this. It's his event. But I will say this. There are more people you need to blame, but he's the face of it. So that he's going to catch the heat coming from people. They came there to see him. Now, the company that threw it was Live Nation. Everybody doesn't know that. That's not just common information. To those concert goers, this was a Travis Scott show, not a Live Nation show. So you're going to feel some type of way about that person that's performing and that put it together. Now, I will say the optics on social media of people filming, people passing out or dying in the crowd and then panning up to show him performing are terrible optics. But I don't believe that you should blame him for keeping the show going, mainly because, one, he stopped the show a few times when he saw people in his eyesight that needed medical attention, and he's been known to do that before. So that's number one. So he did stop the show. Number two, you don't ever really think that someone's dying in front of you in the crowd. That doesn't really happen that often. So people pass out, they get too hyped, they get exhausted, whatever the case may be, dehydrated. Maybe they had one too many, whatever the hell they were on that night, and they pass out. Okay, cool. You don't think that somebody's actually dying in the crowd. Like, that's an extreme case. And quite frankly, I still don't understand what was the difference between this or, Coachella or Woodstock, where it's 30, 40, 50,000 people doing the same thing. Why this one was any different, I still don't really understand that. But it is fair for him to catch some of the blame, but I don't think it needs to be squarely put on him due to the fact of I don't know what people wanted him to do. Did they want him to jump in the crowd and perform CPR? Like, you're on stage in front of 50,000 people, bro. Like, I don't know what type of eyesight they think he got, but the nigga's not a superhero, bro.
Well, they think he is. It's Travis Scott. He's a big star. They wanted him to notice it. They wanted him to stop the show. They wanted him to be remorseful.
Yeah, you can't do that, bro. Unfortunately, what happened when we went to the Cash Money show? What happened when Juvenile stopped the show because his mic wasn't working?
Throwing chairs.
Exactly. So what do you think 50,000 teenagers are going to do if he stops the show 3 songs deep, bro?
Right. And that's a lot of responsibility for a 24-year-old?
Nah, he's 28, 29.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But to answer the question about the backlash, that's not Travis Scott's job. Travis Scott's job is to go do what he done. He turns up, like, part of his brand, the mosh pit, all of the things
Ragers.
that come with raging and Travis Scott and what he has built to this point. Like, that's what he does. Like, he shouldn't be responsible for what you say, like stopping a show and seeing someone in an ambulance here. Like, I'm a rapper. Like, I'm up here to rap.
Yeah.
Then there's a lot more stuff that comes with being a rapper, and it may sound like, oh, you're giving him, you're letting him off easy by saying, well, he's just a rapper. But the fact of the matter is, there's 60, 70,000 people that, like, he can't be the person that's responsible for everything to happen.
Yeah,
like, people are in place with jobs to do things that he can't do because I'm here to do my job. I want to rap.
Yep.
And sometimes what I do involves mosh pit and crazy, but you got police here, you got security here, there's insurance here. Like all of these protocols are in place so I can do my job. So why no one else isn't being held responsible for doing that job? So I don't think it's fair that they are holding Travis Scott responsible. He doesn't have the he didn't have the capability to make any of that stop. It's unfortunate that people lost their lives. He may approach shows differently, and he's been arrested for this before, for inciting riots at his shows. So it's not anything new to him. But again, I still don't think that the responsibility falls back on Travis Scott for him to say, oh man, you guys stop everything right now. Like, he doesn't have the power to pause everything and make sure that people on the ground are getting picked up. Like, this is a part of what you signed up for, unfortunately.
Yeah. No, it's terrible. It's a terrible situation. It's a tragic situation. They canceled the remainder of the Astroworld weekend. He was set to perform again this coming up week, and he's canceled that. And he's also come out and said that he's going to cover funeral costs, offer mental health resources, and also refund every ticket there. Obviously, that doesn't bring anybody back, but I mean, he clearly was affected by it. He did a couple of videos on Instagram. And if you know Travis Scott, in regards to me not knowing him personally, but you know his brand, if you've watched his documentary on Netflix or anything like, or followed his career, he's very, very in touch with his fans. To be the level of star that he is, he's very touchable, approachable. He brings people on stage. He talks to people on stage. He signs people's sneakers. Like, he does he walks through the crowd. You know, like he do all of that shit. So that's why his fans rock with him so much. So I know he probably feels like shit, even though, again, I don't believe he had much in his control. But being the face of, this is Astroworld. This isn't Coachella and then something happened during your set. Nigga, this is your festival, dude. You brought Drake out. Motherfuckers went bananas. Like, this has your name on it. He even is in charge of putting some of it together. Like, he takes some responsibility because he put some of it together too. So it falls on his shoulder, but not solely though. I want people to stop. They're trying to cancel him, and that's a little too much. Even though the events was tragic though. Condolences to the family and friends of people who were lost.
What do you think this means for his career? Speaking of canceling,
I don't know, because they talked about how, like, what Nike should do, because he's got some sneakers coming out. They were coming out that weekend. And people know how Nike get down. You get the notification, and they tell you where to go, and people rush to where to go. So it's like, do they need to rethink how that shit finna drop? And should they donate the proceeds of this
Nike,
sneaker?
I don't want anything to do with this.
Man,
I'm out.
Listen, they finna delay the shit out of them shoes,
I'm Nike,
bro.
I'm out. Like,
no, you're not out for good, though.
Yeah,
no,
I'm
you're
out
not.
of the Travis Scott business.
No, you're gonna put it on pause and put these on ice to maybe January, but you're not out though.
I'm out.
Ain't no way.
Travis Scott ain't got enough. Like, what?
Stop.
Stop.
Ain't got enough what?
Charisma to hold this down. He can't bounce back from this. Did you?
He can.
Did you see that video?
Yeah, the video was nuts. Like, several videos were nuts.
There's a certain and part of the thing why I say he can't stop it. It's not his job. Like, Travis Scott is a superstar, but he's not Kanye West. He's not Jay-Z. Like, if Kanye West is up there and that's happening, he can stop that. Not saying
what do you mean,
he's
though?
a superpower, but Kanye West is going to notice that it's going to process different. And we'll get into the interview.
They're twice
and
his
how he
age.
Thinks. Right, he's 40, and that was going to my point.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
he's 44 years old.
Yeah.
So he knows that he can stop that. Travis Scott hadn't grown into a point where I can bounce back from this with enough charisma to where people will still fuck with me. So if I'm Nike, I'm out. If I'm McDonald's, I'm out. I'm not signing on for you to bounce back, bro. I ain't got time for you to figure this shit out. This is a big dog corporation. I spend a lot of money on you specifically. So shit will happen correctly. Like, nah, I'm out.
You know what's crazy though? This pub is just gonna get him more listeners, because that's how the world works. His name is plastered over everything. If you didn't know who he was before this, you know now. He's more of a household name than he was last week.
If that's even possible.
Right. Man, moving on. Speaking of Kanye West, he appeared on Drink Champs this week. Epic 2.5 hour long interview. I'll get straight to it. Did you take anything away from the interview? What stood out to you?
The biggest thing that stood out to me was Nori improving his interview skills throughout
really?
this interview. Yes. I think Nori did it. You hate Nori.
No, I don't hate Nori.
You hate on Nori.
What the I'm not a hater.
You hate on, you definitely are a hater. But you hate on Nori and how he approaches Drink Champs because it's not as, it's less structured as you. You don't like the unstructured of it.
I don't.
But I do think that Nori, usually he's cutting in and he figured out how to fall back and let the genius of what Kanye West had to say or who he is or what he stands for, he let that come out. And this is the second time after a long form interview that I'm more impressed with what I hear from Kanye West when he's had 2+ hours to speak. The Joe Rogan interview, I think, was good.
That's right.
And
I thought the Breakfast Club was good too, though.
I didn't listen to the Breakfast Club.
That's nuts.
Joe Rogan interview was great, and I thought this one was great. And one of the biggest takeaways that I have from this is how the people around Kanye West have failed him. Like, I didn't or tried to hate on the Walt Disney take or I'm Steve Jobs takes or I'm Elon Musk or whatever it may be. He is that for like our community and black people, and just listening to him talk and then listening to Elon Musk talk on Joe Rogan, like they have similar thought processes, but niggas is around Kanye West telling him to beef with Drake or trying to decide what club to go to or these sneakers. Like, his thought process and how big he thinks of things, he could be a way bigger asset than he is when thinking about the Gap and thinking about Yeezys and thinking about like having album of the year. Like, his contemporaries and other races are going to Mars. Like Elon Musk and what's the dude
Elon
name?
Musk is a trillionaire, on his way to being a trillionaire, dude. We're not going to put him in the same category.
Thought process. He put himself in. I didn't put him in that category. He put himself in that category with Bezos and Elon Musk. For black people, that would be the equivalent. I don't know no black trillionaires. He said he had $7 billion. He said he was more than everybody, some pretty significant people in a text thread. He said he was worth more than all of them combined.
He was just talking shit.
So that black version of that Elon Musk and the Amazon Bezos, that is Kanye West. Unfortunately, we listen to him talk about the Gap and we listen to him talk about Yeezys when these people are literally flying out of space. Now, I'm not saying that Kanye West needs to try to go to Mars, but the housing plans that he has in Wyoming, that's brilliant. A lot of the stuff that he talks about that he doesn't really focus on, or he gets spread too thin with doing bullshit, and this is what he called it, bullshit. I think he should be able to focus on and have more experts around him to help him with more impactful things other than the bullshit that he worries about. That's what I took from the interview.
This was one of the first Drink Champs that I've seen straight through. Of course, y'all know I'm a big Ye fan. That's my guy. I just wish Nori was a little bit more informed. He cut Kanye off because he said CLB to clarify that he was referring to Certified Lover Boy. Nori, we know what the fuck CLB is when he's referencing Drake, dude. You don't need to cut him off mid-sentence.
Nori didn't know that. He was clarifying for himself.
That's why I said he needs to be more informed. Like, how can you talk about Drake and Kanye and not bring up the Calabasas album that they was finna come out with? What happened to that? Where is that at? Is that going to happen? Like, those are the questions that you ask when you're informed. Or at least if it's not going to be Nori, then EFN needs to be the informed one, and you let Nori be the wild one that make some noise. Like, he know how to say make some noise, nigga, but he don't know about shit that he's supposed to know to push the interview forward. I need somebody that can pull. He makes it comfortable for them, which is what his gift is. But I need somebody that can pull the information out of the person that they're talking to and can steer the conversation in some type of direction. I know that's difficult to do with Kanye because he be all over the place. But at least still, like, don't let niggas forget what they were saying. And man, all that shit be whack to me, dude. But the interview was solid for the most part. I just wish it was somebody else.
That's somebody else besides Nori?
Yeah, for sure.
Did you watch the Joe Rogan interview?
I didn't. No, not yet. His should be too long. Pause. Like, it's like 5 hours. I ain't got time for that shit.
It was about the same length as this one. But I think Kanye West, he thrives in those. Nori, like, he ain't the type of person. I get what you're saying. That is a different type of interview, but I don't think that Kanye West needs those type of interviews. Like,
those are so good, bro. Like you just said, because Joe Rogan is a better interviewer than Nori. Would you say that?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. And I thought Breakfast Club did a much better job of telling a linear story to where you can get questions, answers, and you can still let Kanye be Kanye, go on rants, talking shit.
He ain't gonna get that comfortable though. That's the thing. So that's the trade-off that you get with someone like Nori. Like, the only way that artists get that comfortable like they do is if it's Nori. I can't go to the Breakfast.
Drinks involved and shit like that.
And they know it's Nori. Like, they know that he's not coming in with any malice. Like, when I ask about CLB, like, he explained that. He was like, I don't know, bro. He's like, I'm in my own world too. He's like, you're a pretty big star, but I'm a pretty big star in my world. Like, I don't know about all this shit, the acronyms and stuff that y'all talking about. Nori explained that right after he said that.
That's some slaw.
But but that's him though. And they don't know going into Breakfast Club that Angela Yee ain't finna hit them with some weird ass rumor. Charlamagne ain't finna hit them with something crazy. So you on the defensive. in there, you can't be, or you're not on the defensive, and that's what leads to a better, more organic conversation for me. I don't want to hear him ask about the Calabasas shit in Drake.
Nah, I guarantee that answer would have been fire. I guarantee it.
But I don't want to hear that though. He was being so much more informative with the stuff that he was talking about and just glazing over. Like, I wish someone was there to ask him more about the stuff outside of hip hop that he was talking about.
That's fair. That too.
Like, I would have loved that. But I like the interview overall. I walked away impressed. Kanye West, I do feel like the people around him, my biggest takeaway though, again, the people around him have failed him. Because he is that when people, it's not light when they say that he is a genius, because I do think that he has thought processes of geniuses and similar people. And I just don't think that they're being focused in the correct positions.
Shout out to my boy. I knew 3 minutes in when he said, what did he say? He said, I was sitting next to Oprah at the Ralph Lauren show talking to Steven Spielberg. When he said that, I said, let me get my popcorn. Let me pause this and go get my snacks because I'm going to be here for a while. Because he's going to put on a show. And that's exactly what he did. Interview of the year. Kanye comes through. Album of the year. All of the above. God damn it. Let's get it. Speaking of that, fuck it. Interview of the year is coming up right now with Wendy Day with OndeckTV show. God damn it. You guys don't want to miss this. She gives us crazy jewels about being an independent artist. And we get to talk about some of the big headlines concerning people's contracts. It's dope. Don't want to miss this. Don't go nowhere. OndeckTV show coming up next. Sure. And we are back. It's the OndeckTV show. It's your man Animal Brown checking in.
Absolutely. I am Spike Lou.
I told you we had a special guest in the building, not back for the second time, but actually back for the third time. This is the trilogy.
First 3-time guest in history.
Absolutely. We've got a very special guest.
Trapper of the Year 4 times in a row.
You already know.
We've got Wendy Day from the Rap Coalition. If you don't know about Wendy Day, number one, go back and check our old interviews. But I'll give you the cliff notes really quickly. She helped broker deals from the likes of Eminem, Master P, Cash Money, Twista, David Banner, just to name a few. She runs the Rap Coalition. She's got a ton of new things popping up. Wendy, we wanted you on the show today, not only to get into what you've got coming up moving forward, but also wanted to talk on some current events that we've got floating around in the news, some people's contracts looking a little iffy, and also wanted to just kind of talk about the current landscape for independent artists in 2021. Does it sound good?
Sounds fabulous.
I guess first things first, last time we spoke with you was 2015. You gave us a number.
Wow.
You said, I know, right? It's crazy. Look, we're in a new spaceship now. We didn't have this before.
It's the big show now.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
We asked you how much does it cost to get an independent artist off the ground. You referenced Machine Gun Kelly, said it'd be about $150,000, give or take, if you really want to make a real push. Has that number changed since then? Is it more? Is it less? It's about the same.
Nope. It's about the same. I mean, that's for marketing and promotion. That doesn't really include recording. You know, that takes a little bit of investment. So maybe it's gone up a little bit. But no, pretty much it's gotten easier since 2015. There's less gatekeepers. We can go direct to consumers. Social media and digital have taken over everything since that time. In 2015, we still cared about blogs somewhat. Now with my artists, we don't really go to blogs. We go to influencers on social media, on Instagram, TikTok.
Okay.
So it's changed up a little bit.
They make a dance to the song, or how does that work?
It doesn't necessarily have to be a dance anymore, but yes, that's the reference point that most people get. But it doesn't have to be a dance in today's world. Remember the crate challenge? That wasn't a dance, and that spread like wildfire.
Wildfire in 2 days. It was nuts. Now, when we were setting this up, you mentioned that this was your busy season, and you mentioned setting up the campaigns. Let the people know what a busy season means to you, what that consists of.
Absolutely. Most of my clients drop music in the fall because now that COVID is sort of, I don't want to say it's over, but it's lessened. People are out and about. Most importantly, college students went back to school, and this is homecoming season. So there's a lot of big games. There's a lot of homecoming events. So we can go out into the real world and do marketing and promotion like hand to hand. And we can go onto a college campus, and there might be a football game that's attracted anywhere from 10,000 people to 100,000 people, more than or what is usually on that campus. So it's a really great time for an efficient spend of money to go out on a promo tour. So fall is very, very busy for most artists on the independent tip.
So how does that work? So you know a big football game is going down. You get with the local promoter in the city and say, "Hey, I want you to guerrilla market and pass my
Yes.
artist stuff." Okay.
Yes, exactly.
Nice.
And the games are mostly on Saturdays and Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
So you can be out in the months of September through November every weekend on a different campus marketing and promoting. You can be giving out music like download cards. You can be shaking hands, kissing babies. Usually you've got somebody along that can film the whole ordeal in a positive way. And then it's getting uploaded to your social media, your YouTube account, your Instagram, your Facebook, anywhere where your fans might be, and you're showing them that you're out and about and, talking to different people and telling people, who you are, where you're from, what your story is. It's just a really great way to find a whole lot of people all in one place, all in a good mood, all there to party and have a good time. The I forget what they're called, where you meet before the football in the parking lot where people are
Tailgate.
grilling. There we go. Thank you. You can tell I'm not a sports person,
Football
right?
fans right
The
here.
tailgate parties are amazing. We give out anything from styrofoam cups to water bottles to, whatever, so that the people that are there will remember the opportunity of getting to meet the artist and get a little take home something or other. Sometimes a t-shirt, sometimes a charger of some sort for their phone. It's just a great way to interact with people in a positive setting and be able to create a memory for the person that's meeting. We usually do flyers, so depending on what schools are playing, we'll have flyers in the color of one team and the flyers in the color of another team. So it's the same flyer. One might be purple, the other might be red and black, depending on who's playing. And it's just a great way for artists to give a piece of material out to somebody where they can take it home that's got maybe a QR code or lists all the different sites where you can go and check out their music.
Nice.
And artists very often will sign that like in a silver Sharpie, so it becomes a souvenir as well.
I find it interesting that even in this digital space, it's still important to get out the house and be in front of people.
Extremely. That face-to-face thing, and it's important in politics as well. Like if somebody was running for office and couldn't meet and greet people, it just wouldn't be the same. There's something about meeting somebody in person where you can feel their energy and their vibe, and it just doesn't occur digitally. I don't know why that is, but it is.
With the new generation, do you have a hard time convincing some artists of that? Do some of them
Yes.
believe that they can sit on Instagram and
Yes.
get everything you said done? How do you get them
Yeah,
out of
because
it?
artists have gotten a little bit lazier than they were. I've been doing this for 30 years, so I've had the opportunity to see everything, I feel like, right?
Yeah.
And artists today, I guess because they feel like it's hard, but for those of us that have done it like through the 90s and the double O's,
This is light.
it's so much easier today,
Yeah.
So I look at artists that say, gee, this is a lot of work, and it's like, oh, is posting on Instagram wearing you out? I'm so sorry.
I know. I in the intro, I had mentioned some of the artists you work with that are now all household names and legends and all that good stuff. But you work with strictly independent artists now, or do you work with majors as well?
No, I work with both. I just did a deal for a duo, two female rappers out of New York called Girl Code. They're signed to 300, and I'm helping an artist out of Atlanta called The Letter M, who's also signed to 300. So they don't necessarily have to be independent, but both of those artists started out independent in order to get their leverage up to get the kind of deal that would lead to success.
How, my bad, 'cause I just thought about this when you said 300. I know 300 is up for sale. Correct?
They're telling me that that's just a rumor, but I'm hearing it from lawyers, and lawyers don't usually gossip. So I have heard that they're looking to sell. I don't know that for a fact. Nobody's given me any inside information, but I do know that the tax code changed. And if they are for sale, I hope it happens before 2022 because capital gains taxes are going to change for the worse for the person selling.
Yep.
So I'm hoping that if it is for sale, that it does happen in 2021 just for tax reasons.
Right, so
$400 million price tag allegedly.
absolutely.
Exactly.
So
I heard on Instagram that or Twitter that P from QC wanted to buy it. Therefore, it must be true
Clearly.
because we read it on Twitter.
that's funny. So when a group like Girl Code comes to you or another artist, how do you know that they're ready for you? How do you vet the people that come to you and even prepare to take their money and start doing your work?
I think it's experience, and it's funny because I turn away more people than I work with. For me, I don't have to like the music, but I have to feel like I can bring value. If I don't feel I can bring value, I can't work with somebody. And it doesn't mean that they're not talented. It just means that when somebody comes to me, they're entrusting me with $250,000, and that's a lot of friggin' money. So I know that I have to deliver. And if there's an inkling that me or my staff can't deliver, I don't want to take that on. Like I've worked too hard to build my reputation, and one oops could really kill my brand. So I'm super selective
I think that's a perfect
as to
segue.
what we
What do you-
take on. And then I also have a team now. Like when I was sitting with you guys, I was working alone. I've got a staff of 7 now.
Nice.
So if I think something is really fire and my team thinks it's ass, I can't really bring it to them and say, okay, work this even though you don't believe in it. So I've got other people now that get to weigh in and say, yeah, we think we can work with this or we can't.
Awesome.
And then, of course, the artist personality has a lot of weight because you could have the greatest music in the world, but be like a supreme narcissist and not want to listen. And that happens a lot more than you would think. So we always sit down with the artist before they bring us on board, and we make sure that they're coachable and that they're willing to take direction from an old white lady, because it could really backfire,
That is a great point there. I have
it
several
could
questions.
really
about,
backfire.
I have several questions about how you develop the team. But I want to not leave the perfect segue there and talk about the Karen Civil Joyner Lucas situation, because a lot of what you just explained from the outside looking into us seemed like what was going on, his expectations and what he wanted from her for the amount of money that he paid. He didn't get it, and she just didn't agree with that. So my question is, how do you make what you do or maybe what Karen does, how do people make that less subjective to where an artist can't come and say, you didn't do your job?
I think that, 99% of what we do as consultants, and I can't speak for her because I really don't know her. I've never really met her and I've never worked with her.
Of course.
But I know that what I do, 99% is managing expectations. And it's really important to communicate thoroughly with your client and understand what is it that they're expecting and what can I deliver. And if you can't, sometimes it's just better to cut ties, refund their money, and call it a day. And I do that. I can't say I do that all the time because I know not to get that, let something get that far gone without addressing it. Like I think it's been something like 7 years or 8 years.
Yes.
And I don't understand why this didn't get addressed the first time he started tripping on social media, which was back around the time I think that I was talking with you guys last, or maybe a couple years later.
Yep.
I don't understand why she didn't address it then, because I think it was Cameron was tripping on her, and then Joyner jumped in and piled on.
Yep.
And I don't understand why she wasn't on a plane in front of them saying, okay, what were your expectations? Where did this go wrong? Because for me, that shit matters. Like, I don't want anybody out there saying Wendy took my money and didn't deliver. Like, that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And if she couldn't deliver going into it, why would she take him on as a client? I'm not saying that's the case. I really don't know. I'm kind of distanced from their situation.
Does that make it harder sometime for you? Like, do you come in? Karen Civil was a big name, which is why that story got out. But do you find that you run into a lot of skeptical people because of experiences that they've had with people who were not as successful as you?
No, I don't. And I've been pretty fortunate because I'm able to deliver, not saying that she can, again, I don't know her, but I'm able to deliver. So I don't run into people that are skeptical. Like most people that do research, they know what my track record is. They know what I've delivered. They're able to go and talk to the artists that I've worked with. I'm not shy, but I'm also not really out here taking on opportunities to interview and bragging about what I've done. Like, I let the work speak for itself, and there's really not any confusion about what I've done or what I can do. Do people call me and say, okay, I hired this person to do this job and they ripped me off, so now I want to hire you? That happens all day, every day, because there's just so much bullshit out here. There's so many snakes out here. But usually when they come to me, even if they're a little bit gun shy, I'm aware of that, and I explain to them exactly what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it, what's going to happen. And then as we move forward and they see the results are exactly what I predicted, they tend to get more comfortable with the situation. And I think the thing that's most important for any client to understand is this is not a fast flip. This is a very slow flip. And that's especially important for anybody that comes from the real estate world. We can flip houses very quickly and make a lot of money. In the music industry, it can take anywhere from 18 months to 3 years just for you to build enough of a following regionally to start really making money. So if you're investing $250,000 into your career, or you've got an investor investing that, as a consultant, I can't allow them for 1 second to think it's going to be a fast turnaround. You're not going to break even until at least 16 to 24 months. And if you're not telling your client that, you're doing them a disservice, because after 2 or 3 months, they're going to be like, why aren't I famous yet? So you've got to really, you've got to really let them know what expectations are real. And I do that before they hire me. If you're expecting me to hit you with a magic wand and you're going to be Drake tomorrow, I'm not your girl. I can't do that. I don't know anybody that can do that.
Does being that blunt,
it's work.
Does it scare some people off? Some artists?
The price scares a lot of people off.
Well, even just being that blunt, though. Not even the price, just being that blunt with them and telling them, hey, man, this is going to take 3 years.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, yeah.
Okay.
Because most people in this industry aren't transparent and blunt and honest. Most people will come to you and say, you're the dopest thing I've ever heard. I can make you a star. Give me X amount of dollars and you'll be famous tomorrow. Like, there's a lot of bullshit out here. And I think the people that gravitate towards me are the ones that have more business acumen and realize that, okay, nothing is fast. It takes money to make money. So maybe what she's saying is real. One of the reasons that I started telling people what this costs is I was watching a lot of my peers say, okay, hire me for $5,000 a month and I'll start working with you. And then all of a sudden, like 4 or 5 months passed, and then the person ran out of money and nobody had any success at all. The worker didn't have success. The artist didn't have success. The money guy didn't have success. And then everybody was mad at everybody. So I took a step back and said, oh, okay, when I worked with this guy, we had to invest $100,000. When I worked with this guy, it took 125. When I worked with this guy, it took 150. So if I tell the world it takes 150, and it only takes 100, I'm going to look like a superstar.
That's true.
But if I tell you it takes 100 and you spend 150, all of a sudden, you know, I'm a fuck girl because you had to spend more money than you thought it would cost.
Yeah.
You know?
That's funny. I've heard you speak. Well, actually, two things. You just mentioned Drake, which is my favorite rapper currently, and I know that you were working with Trouble at one point in time, and he had a record with Drake.
Yes.
Working with Mike Will. How were you working with him at that time when he had that feature?
I was.
How difficult was that to get Drake? What's that process like?
We didn't actually go get Drake. Oh. We built a buzz for Trouble that was really strong. And the thing about Drake that makes him so genius is when you get to that level, you lose the underground just naturally, right? Your fans become a little more mainstream. Your fans are more like if you're a Drake fan, all your friends are Drake fans, right? It's sort of like everybody jumps on the bandwagon. You don't know who the real fans are and who's there because their friend is a fan, right? It's just the nature of somebody that's a superstar. And Drake is so brilliant because he will see somebody blowing up on the underground like the Migos or Trouble or whoever, and he'll jump on a song with them, which is sharing his fan base with that artist, but it's also bringing him back to the underground so he can go scoop all those new underground fans that thought, oh, Drake doesn't talk to me. Drake isn't for me. Drake doesn't care about me because I'm just a little fan. And then here he is doing a song with their favorite new artist, and it's giving him back that underground fan base again. It enables him to last longer than what most artists do in terms of their career.
Yeah. And you see that because this run is crazy, and that's part of it. I remember Puff used to do that. Puff used to always stand by whoever was
Wayne.
Yeah, Wayne exactly.
When he was at his height, did that. There's certain artists that just gravitate back towards the underground, and I think it's natural. I don't think he's sitting there, doing a science experiment saying, okay, let me go grab these people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think he's a fan, so he's listening to what's coming up, and when he feels something, he's like, man, I like that dude. Let me go do something with him.
Yeah.
One of Trouble's closest friends when I was working with him was The Weeknd. And he never reached out and said, hey, Abel, we're personal friends. Come get on a song with me. What we did was we blew Trouble up. We discounted everybody around us, and we got him to a point where he was bubbling. And then his friends came to him like Young Thug and Fetty Wap and Future, who were superstars at that point in time, and said, let me get on a track with you. And at that point, it wasn't a handout because he was bubbling in the South. So it was like, okay, he was at a point where it made sense for them to do a song, but the upside is we didn't have to pay for it, and it was easy to clear because he had a buzz.
Do you still work with Trouble?
I don't.
Okay.
It's not fun for me. Once somebody gets signed, he got signed to Interscope. Once somebody gets signed to a major label, it's kind of like everything changes, and it's not me being anti-major. I'm not anti-major. I am pro-independent, but it becomes like when I was first working with him, it was us putting together a plan and going out and getting it, like going out and making things happen. And once you get to a point where people know who you are and you're starting to become a star, it switches to you staying in the office and just answering the phone because the opportunities come to you. And that's not fun for me anymore. I don't want to just sit back and answer a phone. I'd rather build something from the ground up. I love the underdog. I love educating artists. Once their career is on a trajectory of success, I just feel like there isn't really much for me to do anymore. There's more money and there's more opportunity for me to advance, but I'm not driven by that. I like the underground. I like the bricks.
Yeah.
I like to do the work.
The process of getting in the mud.
Have you ever thought about, because when I listen to your interviews and some of your videos on Instagram when you're giving advice, I feel like your advice sounds like it could be applicable to damn near any startup type. Have you ever thought about expanding Rap Coalition to different genres of industry or different business of industry?
Like podcasts?
I haven't, and here's why. Like, I'm driven by passion.
Okay.
I love, like, I still listen to rap music, so there's a passion in the music. And yes, I could probably, you know, build a TV show or build an app or build a restaurant, right? It's just not fun for me. Like, one of the things that I'm doing, like my side hustle, I used to flip real estate, and it's not profitable to flip real estate right now, right? So I'm building a co-working space. And while I love learning about it and I love doing it, it doesn't wake me up at 6 o'clock in the morning like, oh, I got to go do this.
Yeah.
Whereas the music still does. Like, I love working with artists. One of my artists today that I'm working with got a plaque, and he came to my office and he opened the plaque, and his eyes just, like, he was shining, and he was so excited and so happy. And there's a genuine happiness that I feel helping an artist get to that level that I never got in real estate, that I never got, like, in a relationship with, you know, like a boyfriend or whoever.
Right.
It's something about rap that drives me forward. It's like this passion in the energy and the music and the lyrics and the beat. There's just something there that keeps me going.
Real quick before we get back to a couple of these headlines, I heard you mention, because we have a lot of independent artists that are grinding, hustling, listening to the podcast. You mentioned two of the artists that you're working with, one from Atlanta, one from New York. Those are two big cities where there's a lot going on, a lot of industry, a lot of business. What about the person that's from Chattanooga, or the person that's from, you know, fill in the blank?
The artist that I just mentioned with the plaque, he's from Karen Crow, Louisiana.
Oh, shit.
And you've probably never heard of it.
No.
It's one exit off of a highway just north of Lafayette. I've never asked him what the population is. I've been there with him, and if you go too fast, you go right through it. It's one of those types of towns.
Wow.
There probably isn't even a Walmart there. That's how small it is. So you don't have to be from a big town. You just have to put in the work, and you've got to have the investment. So if you don't have the money yourself, you've got to find somebody who's going to believe in you and invest in you. And that's not easy.
No, not 150 bands. No.
Lately, with all the artists that have came out and how the music business has expanded, have you been surprised lately? Like, anybody that you passed up on, or that you didn't want to work with, or that it just didn't work out, and you were like, oh no, man, I don't think that's going to work. And then you look up and you see them all over social media, or bigger influencer than you would have expected it to be. Has that happened?
No. I've worked with people where I didn't understand the direction they were going. Folio is a great example. I've worked with Folio, and I didn't understand that whole I understand battle because I'm from that era, and I understand dissing people on songs.
Right.
I don't understand shooting at people or putting yourself in a position to be shot. So I don't understand when the violence comes into it. I was worried that he'd be dead by now, and it made it very difficult to work with him. So I haven't worked with him in a couple years, and I wish him well, and I hope to God nothing happens to him. But he puts himself into a position where people grow really angry and want to shoot at him.
Gotcha.
Does he listen to you when you tell him that? Like,
No.
you're making Okay.
No.
I don't mean to laugh, but okay, I get it. Yeah, I understand.
Does he have anyone around him that tells him that he listens to?
Probably not.
Apparently not.
Yeah, I'm about to say.
I don't know. I haven't worked with him in a few years. Like, when I started with him, he was brand new.
Right.
He had been rapping like maybe 6 months or a year. So he was 19 at the time. I lasted about a year before, we didn't see eye to eye. And he didn't understand that my goal was to keep him alive, and his goal was to get Instagram views.
Get hot, yeah. Speaking of, back to kind of current events, we've seen a meme floating around about Summer Walker's alleged deal. They're saying she makes 15 cents off every dollar, no masters, no publishing. When you see that,
that's normal.
That's what I was just about to say, because to us that sounds wild.
It's called a record deal.
Even in 2021, still.
Yes, yes. It's called a record deal. You know, deals when you sign to someone and you don't go out and get leverage first, meaning you don't let's compare her to like Megan the Stallion, right? So Megan signed to a baseball player who put money up, got her hot, and then did a deal with 300. And I understand she's not happy, but that's not my point.
Right.
My point is she had leverage when they did that deal with 300. I'm guessing with Summer, she didn't really have any leverage, and she was probably brand new to this. No one probably knew who she was. So when they signed her, they got her for a lower rate than if she had put out her own music and built a little bit of leverage and then did a deal. But 15 to 18% is average. And, you know, back in the 90s, that record deal was based on wholesale CD prices, which was $12.86, if I remember correctly. So an artist was getting 15% of like $13. Well, today a stream is 0.007 cents on Spotify. So if you're only getting a small percentage of that stream, I could see where an artist would be frustrated. So the deals, they've changed a little bit in some circumstances, but not like they need to and not like they should.
How much
And I'm amazed at, I'm sorry to interrupt you.
No, I was just wondering how much larger is that number for an artist that
On a
has
good
leverage?
deal.
Yeah, for an artist
A
that
lot.
has leverage.
Wow.
A lot. So if you've got leverage in Trouble's situation, we had made him like 1.2 million or 1.4 million in a year.
Damn.
So when he went to Interscope through Mike Will, the deal had to start at least double that because he could, you know, he could do 1.2 or 1.4 on his own. So if Interscope was going to step in and sign him, the deal had to start at like 3 million, or it wouldn't have made sense for him to sign.
Gotcha. Well, that just leads me to another question. We just recently saw Meek Mill tweeting about, I'm going to post my contract because I haven't seen $1 off album sales. That doesn't make sense to me. How does something like that happen if that is something that's happening?
When a label signs you, Waka Flocka also said that a couple years ago. And every now and again, there'll be an artist who complains about their contract. But the reality is that when you sign to a label and they invest money into you, you have to pay that back out of your share. So let's say you're a record label and I'm an artist. So you sign me and you say, okay, Wendy, I'm going to give you $100,000 or $500,000 or whatever you deem is worthy to give me. And we have an 85-15 split, meaning you make 85% of the money, I make 15%. I have to pay you back out of the advance, the marketing, the recording budget, all of the things that you spend to build my career. I have to pay back out of my 15%. So you're still making all the money until I recoup. And then once I recoup the money that's spent, then we split the 85-15 and I get 15 cents on every dollar. But until I pay everything back, I don't. So an artist like Meek Mill, if his budget and they spent, you know, $2 million or $5 million on him and he wasn't able to pay that back out of whatever his share was, when he went and delivered the next album, he would be in the negative and still have to keep recouping.
Wow.
So artists make money from shows and they make money from advances. And that's the label game. So if he signed to a record label and didn't know that and then didn't expect that, it's a little hard for me to feel sorry for him because the knowledge was out there when he signed.
Gotcha.
You know, I don't blame somebody like Too Short or E40 or Slick Rick because back then the knowledge wasn't out there like that.
Yeah.
But with Meek's generation, like we were all talking about what it was. So I don't understand how he would have missed that. Maybe he thought he was different. Maybe he thought that he wouldn't be the one to be taken advantage of.
Right.
But it's a it's a sharecropper's game.
So that advance that you get if you're a trouble and you've grinded 1 million, so they're like, we got 3 million for you. You don't pay
Now you got to
that
pay that
back.
back.
They do or they don't.
You got to pay that back.
Wow.
If you're gonna anything you advance is recoupable unless you've got the power in your contract to say, okay, that's not recoupable, and that's really hard to do.
Okay.
So you've got to be like of the Adele status or the Drake status to get unrecoupable advances, and it's never going to be all the money, because if they can't make it back, why would they spend it on you when they could go over here and spend it on the next artist?
Now, is that Rick Ross that the tab is owed to, or is that the larger label Interscope that he signed to?
It would be Rick Ross for
MMG.
we're talking about Meek Mill specifically.
Would it be MMG?
I think that was Warner Brothers. I'm not sure,
Yeah,
but I think
so.
it was Warner.
Yeah.
So he would have to recoup whatever money Warner gave to Rick Ross would have to be recouped. So he'd be recouping out whoever he was signed to. And I haven't seen his contract,
right,
so I don't want to just start naming names because that's not fair.
So this is part of the problem that the people under Kanye West said. They said that
Correct.
a lot of money was allocated for their albums, and he used
Correct.
it just to do whatever he wanted to do.
Correct.
Does that happen a lot, or is that just a superstar?
It
Kanye
happens
West
all
thing?
the time because you're especially with an artist-owned label, because you're trusting somebody that doesn't really run a record label to control your budgets. So if your label president isn't great with money, they could be spending money in the wrong places. Not to say that's what happened. Again, I don't know the situation between Kanye and his artists, so I don't want to. But speaking generally, if whoever is in control of the money doesn't allocate money properly, I could see where that could be a problem. I remember back in the day, I used to get so mad because I'd be trying to pull somebody out of a deal, and I'd be looking at the marketing budget, and I would see where labels were spending money. And because I was such a hip hop head, I knew that some of the stuff they were doing was just crazy. It wouldn't work. And I'd be like, well, okay, great. You spent $500,000 on promoting this artist, but 300,000 of it was a waste. You did shit that just didn't matter, like to real hip hop fans. So why does that artist have to pay you back? And as an artist, you're at the mercy of whoever signed you. Now let's look at that. Like, let's turn that around for a second. Let me play devil's advocate, because if I'm a record label and nobody really knows who you are, and I'm taking a risk and I'm going to invest my money in you, I should get a big return on investment because I'm taking a risk. You know?
That makes sense. No, I get it. That
So
they
when
use
you
that for the
look at it
360 deal
from-
too.
When you look at it from the label side, it's oppressive, and I argue that it is too oppressive, but I also understand because like that person is taking a risk with their money. Like Dame Dash took a risk on Jay-Z.
Yeah.
He just won. I can name many people that took risks on artists and lost everything.
Yep.
I know more people that have lost than won. So I can kind of see both sides.
You mentioned Kanye. I feel like when he posted his contract on Twitter, did you read that?
I did.
The entire
I did. I read it all, and it was very difficult because he posted it out of order. And I got a shout out. I don't remember who it was, but there was one person on Twitter that went and gathered all the pages, checked all the numbers, made sure that because it was like 6 contracts, right?
Yeah.
Made sure all the pages matched the right contract so that I could read it easily. And his contract really wasn't that bad. Like, certainly compared to another artist who wasn't of Kanye status, like he was complaining, but he didn't really have like 100% right to complain about what I thought was a relatively decent deal.
Okay. Sounds like
certainly
Kanye.
Compared to like a new artist that nobody's heard of before, that, you know, has given up everything, half their publishing and they only get a budget of 100,000, and
Yeah. I just
it
thought of
wasn't
one.
that.
I just thought of one real quick before we get to kind of what you've got going on now. Birdman said he makes $20 million a year off of royalties from Cash Money.
I bet he makes more than that, but yes.
What?
Thank you.
I bet it's more than that.
It was a
but
debate
keep
on
going.
this show, and I said that was true, and he said it wasn't.
That's nuts.
I bet it's more than that. I remember when I was going to sue them, I was like at 20 months
You had
in,
to stand in line?
and I was one of the first, so I didn't have
Okay.
to stand in line. Others stood behind me, but that's okay. I did get paid, by the way. I sued them. I
nice.
did get paid. It didn't even have to go to court, which was a great thing. But anyway, I had to figure out like how much money had they made in that 20-month period, and it was $70 million.
God.
20 months in.
Let me ask
And what
you
year was
That
this?
was a lot of money.
Around what era was this?
The beginning. So Juvenile, BG.
In the
The
90s?
first, yes, the first like 2 years, 20 months of their existence, they cashed out $70 million. Because at this point, I was trying to figure out, okay, how much do they owe me when I sue them? So I was figuring out, okay, here's how many records they sold. Here's the percentage they got. I did the deal. I knew what the numbers were.
Yeah.
So when I figured it out, I'm like, wow, 70 million. So let's just say they made 70 million in 98 to 2000, right? Roughly. Just the interest alone, if they had invested wisely, he's creaming more than 20 million a year.
So, and we're keeping you long, so we'll let you go. But I have to know, we have this conversation a lot. We'll see artists that maybe had one song, and they'll be around Atlanta and they're still driving fancy cars. And I know you don't know their bank account, but could you live the rest of your life off of one successful song? Like, let's say it's Ain't I with Young L.A. You think, or Young Dro with Shoulder Lean or something like that, do you think that they would be able to live rather
It's hard to
comfortably?
answer that because I don't know what their deal was. But let's look at Little Donald, who had Do Better. I worked with him 2018, 2019, and 2020, up until about COVID. When COVID hit, I kind of focused more on my own company to keep my head above water, right? So he walked away probably somewhere between 1.5 to 2 million as an independent, and we only worked that song in the Southeast. We didn't work it nationally. So just to put that into perspective, if you're working one song and you own 100% of everything, yeah, you could probably, if you invest properly the money and you don't piss it away when it comes back in, yeah, you could probably do pretty well, especially if you're buying other income producing assets like real estate or a business.
Okay. That's crazy. What tell us about Power Moves. What's that about?
Power Moves is a company that helps artists that have investors. We help them make money with their music. So they come to us to show them how to put music out into the marketplace and build careers. And they do it for two reasons. One is either to stay independent, to make the lion's share of the money, or they're doing it to build leverage because they want to go shop a deal.
Okay.
So when you see me working with Little Donald or Trouble or the artist from Karen Crow or whoever I'm working with, that's what Power Moves is. And then I'm building an incubator called Artist Centric. And that's for an artist that doesn't quite have the $250,000 that it takes to get to the next level. And they come into the incubator. It's really an accelerator, but we don't understand the difference in hip hop. So I call it an incubator.
There you go.
But they come into the incubator and they've got to have some money. They've got to have some skin in the game. But while they're in the incubator, we split income, never ownership, but we split income. And then we teach them how to make money with their music, just like we do at Power Moves, but it's for the artists that don't really have investors. Nice. And then we become their partner until they're ready to leave. And that takes about 2 or 3 years. Remember, I said it's a slow flip.
Yeah.
And when they leave with 100% ownership of their publishing, of their masters. So we're really only sharing in the income while we're teaching them how to do this. And then we kind of push them out of the nest so that they can go and either sign to a major label or stay independent and use what we've taught them. But ideally, I would love for artists to stay independent because then they own 100% of everything.
Guys, I highly recommend y'all follow Wendy on IG. The free game is ridiculous. Wendy, we appreciate it. We thank you for pulling up for the third time. I watch everything you do, the IGs, the whole nines. We appreciate it.
I'm about to do more. You know, I have a YouTube channel where I keep all my videos, and I noticed a couple weeks ago they're getting a little bit old and ragged looking.
Okay.
So I'm about to start a whole new series, and then I've been filming content to build an educational website. So in a minute, you're going to see a whole website devoted towards helping people put out their own music when they don't have the necessary funding.
And shout out to Dame Dash too. Like, he always talks about passing the plug. We've got the studio space right here in Atlanta. We know you're local here as well. If you ever need a space, holler at us. We got you.
That's awesome. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Till the next time, we appreciate it. Till again, please
Thank
take
you.
it easy.
Let's not wait another 7 years though. Let's talk again before that.
Let's definitely do that.
We
can come
will.
to the studio
Thank you,
since
guys.
we're past all the COVID stuff.
And thanks for doing this. Like, I know that there's not a lot of money in what you do. I love that you're doing this because you really just care.
Absolutely.
And I'm so thankful for both of you.
Absolutely. Until the next time, Wendy,
And your team. And your whole team.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me.
Have a good one. We are back. Wendy Day, man, for the third time, man.
That was amazing.
Flames.
I definitely enjoyed that.
Dude, she's so dope. And she cool as fuck. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, she give a lot of good gems, but she just like generally a nice ass person. If I rapped, I'd definitely work with her.
If you had $250,000.
Oh yeah, I gotta have 250 bands too. But
That's the start.
if I rapped and had a
Can't
quarter
just
ticket,
like her, yeah. You can't just like her. You have to bring the check too.
Shout out to Wendy Day though, man.
Absolutely, man. That was a dope interview. I love all the insight that she gives and just how much knowledge she shares. Definitely dope.
On the house too.
Absolutely, man. Let's start with some wins and some losses before we get out of here, man. An L to your man, Big Sean. In that Nori in that Nori interview with Drink Champs, Kanye West said, Big Sean responded to it after Kanye West said all the shit that he said, and Big Sean said, that nigga owe me $6 million. Since you want to say all of that, where my $6 million at?
Yeah, that's an L. And actually, he took an L because Kanye said that signing Big Sean was the worst thing that he's done. I thought that was a stretch. I think he was reaching a little bit. I understand his beef with John Legend because John Legend, he must have known he was off the label because he shitted on him during his little presidential run.
John Legend.
But I don't remember Big Sean doing that, so I was a little confused, man. Somebody pull up the clip where Sean shitted on Kanye's presidential run. I didn't see it. So I'm confused at what Kanye was tight about, but calling him a sellout was a reach. And I don't like that good music is just falling apart like that. Like, that's whack.
Nigga called John Legend a light-skinned ass nigga. He said, man, you
That
that
was
light-skinned John
You that
Legend
John
ass
shit. That was funny.
Man, that was funny as fuck, man. Who knew Kanye West was funny? A W to your man, the baby. He's back better than ever. Brand new tour with, what is it, Rolling Loud?
Really?
He's got, a brand new everything, man. And he's announcing a brand new mixtape as well. What do you think about this W?
Yeah, he got the green light from the LGBT. They said they were gonna raise up off of him, let him cook. I wonder how much he paid them. I wonder what the check looked like, or the donation, I should say, what that looked like, because they gave him the green light, which is just, I don't know, it's kind of weird that an organization said it's okay for him to
saying, okay, now we believe he can do it is disgusting.
Yeah, I don't know where that came
nuts.
from, but shout out to the baby, man. I'm interested to see what he got, what type of music he makes moving forward, and if he can grow as an artist.
No,
that's hating.
Tell you right now. All right, a W and an L. The very rare 2-in-1. A legend is wrapping up his hip-hop career. Scarface is performing his last show as a rapper.
Okay.
Ever. November 12th at the House of Blues in Houston. He may come back in a different genre.
Okay. That's crazy.
But he's just not a rapper.
He may come back in a different genre.
He said he may do alternative music or blues.
Oh, no. Would you go to that show?
Yeah, last Scarface show?
That's going to be hard. That's going to be hard as fuck. I'm not even that deep into Scarface like that, but even I would attend that because that'd just be something dope. I wish he would have done
Friday.
it. Oh, well, shit. I wish you'd have done it in more than one place, but then I guess technically that wouldn't be your last show.
Right.
But triple salute to Scarface, though, man. Where you got him on your top 50? Is he top 10?
Scarface is top 5 for me.
I don't believe that.
Maybe top 3.
Now you just pouring on the gas. Respectfully though, shout out to Scarface. He dope as fuck.
Definitely top 5 for me.
On Decker of the Week, man, I'm gonna go ahead and give this one to Roddy Ricch. He said he was gonna donate his fee that he made from performing to the victims of Astroworld. So salute to Roddy Ricch. He actually stepped up first, and I believe was the first artist to do something toward this. So triple salute to him. Donated his fee, man. Ain't no telling what that was, but I'm sure they'll take it.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. Shout out to Roddy Ricch.
Real quick before we get out of here, we said November was Hip Hop History Month. I wanted to mention something because we told a story last time. I wanted to talk about the first time we went to Revolt. Do you remember Travis Scott walking around Revolt like he was just a regular person? This was before he was Travis Scott though, and he was walking around with his head down, kind of tall, lanky dude, walking around with a white lady, would not look anybody in the eyes. And when I noticed him, I was like, damn, dude look weird, antisocial as fuck. And then probably about 2 hours later when we had the performance out front, and they go to the stage, Travis Scott, and he comes out there in front of probably 50 people, and he turned that bitch up as if he was at Astroworld. And I remember when we were right there like, damn, this nigga energy is crazy. He was crowd surfing, and we got it on video too. I don't know where that video is, but he was turned up, man. So I thought that was very interesting. That was like 2014.
That was probably the second Revolt we went to, and the weird thing is, I was talking to my guy Scoops, but when we seen the news again, the second week he made the story, but when we seen the news broke, and I told the exact story that you did, I said, dude, I seen Travis Scott in Revolt. I said 30 people. I said, man, it was
it might have been 30.
I said, dude, it may have been 30 people, and he was going absolutely ape shit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm talking about throwing water on the crowd. You couldn't have told him that it wasn't 100,000 people there, dude. And that was in 2014. So I 100% remember that.
Way before the Nike deal.
Facts.
What you got to put me on?
Been a lot of good TV, man. If you don't watch Yellowstone, man, that shit was fire. I got 3 texts in my phone right now said that first 11 minutes may have been the best 11 minutes of TV history.
Hyperbole at its finest.
Period.
Nope.
But that's not my put on for the week. If you're not watching those, watch them. Michael Eric Dyson was on Bill Maher. That shit was absolutely fire. They were talking about the Democratic struggles in Virginia and the race that they just lost and critical race theory. There was another black dude on there who was speaking against it, and Michael Eric Dyson was speaking for it. Both of them were bringing some fire-ass points. So if you're not really sure about what critical race theory is, you've been hearing a lot of people talk about it. Bill Maher's section with Michael Eric Dyson Friday was fire.
I fuck with Michael Eric Dyson though.
Yeah, he was a beast.
My put on is actually a put off. I went to see Eternals over the weekend.
Why?
Because it's Marvel, nigga. We get the MCU. I don't miss none of these Marvel movies, nigga.
Angela Jolie being the lead superhero in any movie in 2021 is nuts.
Shout out to Angela Jolie.
That's nuts.
It was some mid. And I'm a Marvel fanatic, and this was bottom tier, guys. Wait till it come out on Redbox. Do Redbox still exist?
Facts. Redbox still posted up right in there in the front of Publix.
I said that shit like, damn, is that shit still available?
Redbox still posted up right outside of Kroger in front of Publix.
Wait till this come out on Disney Plus. You can skip this. I'm not saying it's trash. It was just some mid. Marvel standards are too high to be dropping shit like this. They needed some filler leading up to this Spider-Man. Just wait on that Spider-Man in December.
It's over for Marvel.
Crazy as fuck.
Gonna let you know right now, bro. It's over. It's
Damn lie.
It's a wrap.
It's over for this episode. On that note, again, follow your boy Animal_Brown. That is at I am Spike Lou. OndeckTV show is the page on Instagram as well.
We out.
Holla.